minutes. We have 2 minutes to go.
Too many questions, and then I'm gonna get all off track.
You have too many?
Am I gonna wear a headset or just
Nah. I do it to listen to. I play some stuff beforehand. So,
Hey, turn the music off when you do?
oh yeah, we can actually turn that down now. There we go. Can't really hear it when we're outside. So we're live on the Facebook already. Let's see your microphone. We'll check out the mic. Can you guys tell she got a new hairdo? Yeah, you're gonna sit there once we get rolling. Because we're on Facebook too. There you go. Try that here.
Do you want him in the middle?
No, we're good.
Okay. Hello, Sue.
Sue Ryan. Maybe she didn't stay
Hey,
out too
Nikki.
late last night.
It's a lot easier to see in here. Oh, please. Please, please, please.
1 minute. We have 1 minute to go. Man, your microphone. I have to figure out why that's so loud and the other ones are not. So you don't.
Yours?
Look at where the volume is on that.
Or mine.
30 seconds.
Do I
Change
need
your
this in?
mind. What we changed, Jerry? What did we change? We changed our mind, he said. What was that? No, I meant we couldn't be outside. That's all. We'd never canceled the show.
You're loud.
Very special show next week, everybody. We're going to be live on location, not on Fort Myers Beach.
No, I can't say where.
No,
I'm going
it's
to
a
mess
surprise.
it up. I know, but I'm going to mess it up.
You want a hat to cover that mop?
I brought my hat.
10
Actually,
seconds, everybody. 10
Let
seconds.
me go get my hat.
No, you can't get your hat.
Kim.
There we go.
The voice of Florida.
Morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Thank you, Mean Gene, and welcome to Beach Talk Radio, episode number 70, the big 7-0, and the big 1 year anniversary. Here we are live from Peach Time Out on our big birthday, and it's raining outside. The first time ever we had to come inside because of the rain.
You know what other time it rained really hard? Mean Gene's birthday.
I know, but we weren't doing the show back then.
I know, but
We had to come in once because of the
We
cold, but we didn't
we
come
did
in
come-
because of rain. So first time we had to be inside, but that's okay. Inside is good. Outside is good. But the weather, it looks like it's clearing up a little bit.
it was really dark out at our house. But yes, it is. I see blue sky here now.
Right.
So
We want to say hello to everybody listening on the Florida Podcast Network, on YouTube, on Facebook, on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and our app. You can download our app free from the Apple Store. And we want to say hello to everybody out there. Episode number 70. We have lots to talk about. Two great guests today. And our first guest is joining us from the Calusa
Waterkeepers.
Casey Schulberg. Casey, did I say your name correctly?
That's pretty good.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in. And the reason Casey is here is because there's a is it a documentary or a film?
It's a documentary.
Documentary coming out on Monday about basically the impact of red algae and all the different kinds
It's
of
blue-green algae and red tide.
Oh,
But
sorry.
There you go.
Well, the documentary we're showing on Monday, and it is the world premiere. We did it ourselves. It's a 40-minute doc. Is about the intersection of public health and harmful algae blooms. So we're dealing with the public health consequences of both red tide and blue-green algae in the doc.
Okay. I guess you're pointing to me now. And I think what's interesting about that is we chatted a little bit before the show, and we had Dr. Parsons on talking about, when the bloom was really going on and some of the causes of it and that kind of stuff. But really the health consequences we were not aware of them at that time. So tell us a little bit how that has developed over time.
Well, last August, in the height of the bloom, we did 2 town halls on public health where we tried to bring some attention to the dangers of these harmful algae blooms to human health. But we know so much more now than we did a year ago. Then we went and did a town hall on the economic damage, because we were trying to get the word out about how this needs to be fixed, and we need to mediate this and try to get on a better track. So we brought a whole bunch of people from industries that weren't typically, environmentally inclined, like real estate, Visitor Convention Bureau. We got them all on stage with us, including charter fishing industries. Those industries that got hammered last year. People on the beach here. We came down and filmed the Harry Chapin Food Bank that set up a portable food pantry on the beach. So a lot of people got thrown out of work. It was very damaging to the economy. So we did a town hall in October on economic damage. Then we did one after the election on legislation, regulation, and policy to try to create a template for people who are newly elected to kind of find some legislation that could start to fix these problems. Now, a year later, we're coming back to public health in a major way, partly because we have learned so much in this past year, particularly about aerosolized transmission. We didn't know a whole lot. I mean, there were frontline researchers like Dr. Larry Brand out of the University of Miami, Elijah Stommel at the Geisel School of Medicine up in Dartmouth, and Mike Parsons, Dr. Parsons, doing studies on aerosolized transmission. So we're gathering all that information and trying to put it in a documentary to get it out on Monday night.
So what is your organization about? How long has it been together? Talk a little bit about that. I really hadn't, but I really hadn't heard much about it until I saw the email from the chamber sent out an email inviting people to Jackie from the chamber.
Been a great supporter.
Inviting people to the documentary. Yep.
Yeah. So Colusa Waterkeeper was formed, the precursor organization, Caloosahatchee Citizens River Watch, was formed in 1995. It was just a bunch of people that got together to try to solve problems we already saw coming down the river on the Caloosahatchee and the estuary. So that's been a kind of grassroots small group since 1995. In 2015, we became an affiliate member of the International Waterkeeper Alliance, and 2016, a full-fledged member. So the International Waterkeeper Alliance was founded by Robert Kennedy Jr. There's 300 chapters around the world doing amazing work to clean up the waterways in Asia, in South America, in Africa, all across the country. There are 13 waterkeepers in Florida. So our jurisdiction as a waterkeeper in Florida is all of Lake Okeechobee, the river, the estuary, starting from Charlotte Harbor all the way down to Bonita Springs. So we got an enormous work project area. And we're trying to get the word out, trying to fix problems. We're science-based. John Cassani is our waterkeeper, because every waterkeeper alliance member has to have a waterkeeper. John's a biologist by trade. He's very well known. He's been on this issue for years. So he's our scientist. So we get the word out, we educate, we advocate, and try to inform people about policy that'll start to correct these problems.
And I was looking on the website, the waterkeeper, John, he issues is it a weekly or a monthly kind of report, and talks about the water quality and so people can go there to get information.
Yeah, we just started that. We call it Words from the Waterkeeper, and John does it weekly.
Okay.
And it's basically an update on some of the activities coming up,
right?
The quality of the water, both the beach and the rivers, and just other topical, real current information on a weekly basis, because we're out there testing the water every week. That's part of what we do. We got a really robust ranger program.
Yes.
We've got almost 60 rangers in our Ranger Academy. So these are citizen scientists who just want to do something, and they help us test all the waterways, because it's an enormous work project. John can't do it alone. So that's a really great program we have going.
Yes. So the Ranger program, now that's open. You don't need any prior experience. You can sign up to take the course.
Yeah. It's a course over 3 weekends, 2 hours a day, 3 times. And basically it gives you a grounding in science and a little bit of advocacy, and show how some of these testing instruments work, a little bit of biology, kind of a primer on the ecology of the area and what you need to be careful of and look for and stuff. So now, we're going to do another academy in I think in October.
Yeah, And I'm glad to hear that it's on the weekends, because I thought it's something I would be interested in, but during the week, busy.
Yeah.
So people should know that they can do that. It's $40. You become a member.
That's exactly right. And just go on our website and send us a message saying you'd like to sign up for that program. There's a lot of interest in it. It's a great program.
If anyone has any questions, they can type them in the Facebook box for Casey. And the Ray Murphy's on there. And Ray? He's a council member here.
He's coming on Monday.
Okay, he says you're like a highly accomplished producer and director. What's that all about? What's your history here?
Well, before I got into advocacy and clean water, I had a whole career in the film business, and I've worked on about 200 movies on a lot of different aspects of the movie business. And I still have a production company, so we produced this movie ourselves. Yeah, the movie you'll see on Monday.
Have you seen The Great Hack?
I've not seen The Great Hack, but I've heard about it. I'm kind of
going to talk about it later. It's terrible.
Okay.
It was terrible.
All right.
Oh, yeah, please.
So as you gave us an advance copy of the film, which was nice, so we had a chance to watch it last night and do a little show prep for our interview. And some of the aerial shots of the water, oh, man, totally disgusting. It was crazy. Now, I don't want to give away the entire film, but is the conclusion that there's going to be long-term health impacts on some people that were, really close to that water or had asthma or something like that? What can you tell us about that?
Well, people have been on this issue, not just in South Florida, but all over the world for decades. Because these harmful algae blooms are not just a Florida phenomenon. They've been going on in the Baltic, in Australia, in England, across the U.S. The Lake Erie's had tremendous problems. So we know a lot about the dangers that are associated with these algae blooms. We know it's almost indisputable that exposure to cyanobacteria, particularly cynosistin and the BMAA contained in cyanobacteria, is almost indisputably linked to neurodegenerative disease. And there's people like Paul Cox, who will be with us on Monday, a legendary research scientist, started figuring this out 30 years ago. I don't know if anybody saw a movie called Toxic Puzzle, but it's basically about his research on this issue. We also have Walter Bradley, Dr. Walter Bradley, chair of the neurology department at University of Miami. He's a leader in this thing. He's been on this issue for 20 years. We also have Larry Brand with us on Monday, and Dr. David Davis. David Davis is a neurological pathologist. So he was the one who put out that paper about 6 months ago about all the stranded dolphins, 13 stranded dolphins that had, they took brain tissue and they did a biopsy of their brain tissue, and they found BMAA in the brain 1.5 times higher than Alzheimer's victims. That was a groundbreaking article when it came out. It shows us that these animals right off our coast are suffering from symptoms just like our Alzheimer's. And we are swimming in the same water. We're exposed to the same. So, this is your question was, are people who are living on canals going to suffer from long-term exposure? We don't know. We don't know a lot. There's a lot we do know. There's a lot we still need to figure out. We don't know, for instance, how close to the water you can be for a sustained amount of time and suffer possible illness. We don't know what the threshold in a human being is for BMAA or for other toxins in your body when it tips over into illness. We don't know whether, obviously, people who have susceptibility to it with a lowered immune system or a genetic disposition, they're maybe more vulnerable. We just don't know. There's an epidemiologist out of FAU, Florida Atlantic University, Harbor Branch Oceanographic Institute, a guy named Adam Schaefer, whom we interviewed. He did some tests in Stewart and in Fort Myers last year. We hosted him in Fort Myers, where he did nasal swabs, urine tests, blood tests to see if people were testing positive for cyanobacteria. Basically, everybody tested positive for cyanobacteria. So it's in our systems. We just don't know what level of contamination would tip over or is likely to provoke any kind of illness. We don't know that yet.
And
sorry, that got really wonky. I'm sorry.
No. It's
Yeah.
good information.
All
And
right, I'll explain it to her later. When you get wonky, don't worry about it.
I'm sorry. I'll try to keep it a little straight ahead.
now the healthcare community has been coming around to identifying symptoms, and because people were going in and complaining about stuff, and it was like, nah, it's not really that. And now that there's a greater acceptance of that, there's been codes that have been issued, which is, as we know, with insurance, that is a big thing, to now have a code that a doctor can put down that links the symptoms to these bacteria.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other end of it, because the documentary we're going to show on Monday covers a lot of research scientists that are on the front lines trying to figure out what's going on. What is the biology? What is the DNA of these toxins? Then we've got doctors on the front lines, from emergency room doctors to internal medicine doctors to eye, ear, nose, and throat doctors, pulmonologists, who are, receiving patients and trying to explain to them what's going on. And then we have some regular citizens who've suffered illness, who are explaining their symptoms. So what we're trying to do is close the gap between all of these different professions and try to get everybody talking to each other. A lot, what we found, what you mentioned, Kim, about the codes, a lot of patients don't know the code, so they can't go to their doctor and say, please record it as this. Those codes are on our website and they're in the documentary. A lot of doctors don't know those codes. I mean, part of what we're trying to do, and after this town hall on Monday and our documentary, we're going to do a CME, which is called a continuing medical education program with Lee Health, basically to train up doctors and nurses and PAs so they have the current information, so they can in turn turn it over to their patients and their constituents.
How many seats do you have for the film?
You mean how many seats left, or how many seats?
How many seats left?
We got about 40 seats left. It's a 400-seat theater. It's really
nice.
It's definitely going to sell out. So I would encourage you, if you want to come, go online, go on our website, and buy your tickets. It's only $20, and you get dinner, the movie, a panel discussion, a Q&A with really some of the top people in the world on this issue. We have brought in Dr. Paul Cox. I mean, he is such a heavy hitter on this issue. Walter Bradley, another amazing, eminent neurologist. Larry Brand, a marine biologist. David Davis. And then we have 2 or 3 doctors and nurses who are going to talk about their contact with the public. All that panel discussion on Monday.
What do you think about Big Sugar and the lawsuit you saw on the news last week?
Well, I thought it was pretty audacious of them to claim that they're
victims.
that they're victims, and that their motivations are aligned with environmental groups such as ours. I thought that was pretty laughable. But they can
for
try.
the average person, though, it can confuse them. Like when I was reading the story, it certainly seemed like, wait a second, whose side is everybody on here? So,
I mean, we're basically on opposite sides. We have, there's a lot of people who claim that Big Sugar is the root of all evil. And in fact, Big Sugar is not doing that much back pumping into Lake Okeechobee, so you can't lay that at their feet. However, they back pumped into Lake Okeechobee for 30 years, so there's a lot of legacy sludge at the bottom of the lake that is probably their gift to us. So that's one issue. They're also not selling their land. We need to get that land to start flowing the water south, so that's another issue. And then they've got perfect drought control and perfect flood control. So they need water. They call up the Army Corps of Engineers. They get water. They need less water. They put it in the canals, and then the Army Corps of Engineers has to deal with it. Sometimes it gets back pumped into the lake. So, what we've been saying for years is there's no shared adversity. Our East Coast here, in Stewart, and the West Coast in the Fort Myers area, are getting hammered, and the sugar industry is high and dry, and they got perfect conditions. They're making record money and record crops. So that's just not really equitable. And for them to come out and say to sue the Army Corps of Engineers because they're getting too little water is really laughable. I got to say, it's anyway.
And lastly, on the politics thing, how about the governor? It seems like the governor's making all the right moves as far as
we were really pleased with his initial executive order, I got to say. And I think it's earnest. I think he's really trying to solve this problem. So we want to encourage that. The legislature is another issue. And there have been a couple of issues where he's, been a little ambivalent or not quite, 100% on target for some of the environmental stuff that we need to get done in this state to keep it beautiful. The thing is, we're basically a tourist-driven state now. So we need to give the proper weight to the tourist industry and lay off a little bit, pull up the brakes a little bit on the traditional industries in Florida that still have a lot of sway in Tallahassee. So we need the public's help to reorient everybody and redirect our priorities. The legislation is really important, and we encourage people to stay informed and to stay in our local elected officials' faces and let them know what we need to start fixing these problems. We got a beautiful part of the world. Let's not mess it up.
Now, how does the Environmental Protection Agency, do you guys work collaboratively? What's their role in what you do? Or
well, we, traditionally, the EPA has been an agency that we've wanted to work with. It's been a little less so in the last 8 years. There's the FDEP and the national EPA. The last administration, the Scott administration, gutted the FDEP, so they're underfunded, undersourced. The same thing with the Florida Department of Health. So we have some issues with those agencies, and to some extent, it's not really their doing. If their funding is gutted, they can't be everywhere. They can't do their job. So we would encourage the governor to refund those agencies and to get them working in the right direction to sort of solve these problems.
And I did want to say, as you were talking about the event that's coming up on Monday, I don't know that we mentioned that it's at the Broadway Palm.
It is at the Broadway Palm.
So
1380 Colonial Avenue, Fort Myers.
Now, Casey, what happened in 2018 seemed like a perfect storm of everything that could go wrong. Is that like a 100-year flood, or is that something that could happen every year?
Well, we got asked that very question by people from the real estate industry who were there. They're not typically tree huggers. I mean, we're not tree huggers either. We're science-based water quality advocacy people. But they came around to us last year and they said, wow, I mean, we saw summer rentals tank. We saw our housing values decline for the first time. Is this going to happen every year? They wanted our scientific background. They wanted us to weigh in on that. And last year, we did have record rainfall in May and June. This year, we had record under rainfall in May and June. So that helped a lot. And that's probably why we don't have the conditions that we saw last year. But don't be swayed, or let's not fall asleep, because we got warming temperatures. We got all the conditions. We got just as many nutrients flowing into our waterways. So these will come roaring back as soon as the conditions line up. Very likely, we're going to have these blooms on a regular basis. We're really, really pleased that we're not getting hammered this year like last year, but we're on our guard, and we're asking people not to let their guard down. Even if you don't see it, we flew over the lake on the 13th of July, and 25% of Lake Okeechobee was covered in cyanobacteria. So it's there, it's there. Luckily, the Army Corps of Engineers didn't have to release a lot of that water our way this year. So the conditions were a lot better this year than last year.
And how is Chauncey Goss's committee doing for you
well,
guys? What's your opinion
we
on
like that task force. This is something we pushed really hard for, because we had some initiatives that we were really lobbying hard for. One was the reinstitution of the Blue-Green Algae Task Force. So we were really happy that Governor DeSantis put that in his executive order. We know Chauncey from years. He was actually the keynote speaker at our annual member dinner last year. So we encourage him to keep working. We think they're doing a pretty good job. And Mike Parsons, obviously, he's all over our documentaries and our doc, and he's on that task force. So we want to encourage them to keep going. They're doing a pretty fair job.
Is there any way to determine the amount of marine life that was lost last year? You guys showed some pictures that were crazy. The dumpsters and the turtles, the big turtles, and the fish. It was just incredible to see when you put them back to back in pictures. Is there any way to?
It was horrifying. It was horrifying. And well, John probably has some stats on that, John Casani. And if you go and ask the question on our Facebook page or on our website, we can probably deliver those numbers. I don't have them off the top of my head. I do know that a marine mortality event like we had last year sometimes takes 2 years, 3 years to come back. And that's if, they don't get hammered again. We're seeing some encouraging signs. There's more tape grass in the estuaries, which is an important kind of breeder of small fish. So there's some encouraging signs. But and to answer your question, I don't know the number of marine life. There are people that have those stats.
Did you see the video in Kentucky of the folks that zapped the fish, the carp that were jumping out of the boat, and they electrocuted the water, and they started to stun the fish so that they could? It was by a dam or something. Did you see that?
I didn't see
that.
that.
You have to Google that and see that. I'd love to know what your opinion is on that. They were, as soon as they put the
pretty unfair.
electrocution in the water, the fish were going crazy and jumping up, and they were netting them and throwing them in a boat so they can. Apparently, they eat all the smaller fish, and they upset the apple cart underneath the ocean there.
I mean, that doesn't seem very sportsmanlike
or humane.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
They were moving them, I think, to another place because they're an invasive species, and it was really wreaking havoc on their ecosystem.
Okay, I didn't follow that.
How can I didn't mean to throw you off there, but some things amaze me. How can people get involved in your organization? Is it a nonprofit?
It's a nonprofit. Okay. We obviously welcome members, and once you become a member, there's benefits. We give you discounts on events that we do, and we invite you to some, closed webinars that are for our members. You can become, you can apply to become a ranger. Those are sort of for citizen scientists. So that's another way. Come to our events that we hold fairly regularly, our town halls. Contact us on Facebook or on our website. It's CalusaWaterkeeper.org. We're a member organization, so we love having members. The members are really great. And because not only, does their $40 a year membership help to sustain us, because we don't get any, all our money is just from members or donors or sometimes
sponsors,
a grant.
Yeah.
We got a nice grant from the Southwest Florida Community Foundation, which allowed us to make this movie and do some of the public health stuff we're doing. But we're totally we're a nonprofit. Yeah.
And I wanted to mention in regards to events that on August 17th, you're having the second annual Rally for Clean Water fundraiser at Millennial.
At our friends at Millennial.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's always a great place, and they're really community-minded. Amber
there.
and Kyle Siebel. In fact, they're in our movie.
Yeah.
So is their son, KJ. Their daughter was a little bashful, so she didn't make it into the movie. But KJ is featured pretty prominently in the movie that we're going to see on Monday.
Yes, he wants to save the people and the fish.
Exactly. He was adorable.
So you have 40 seats left. It's going to be Monday. At what time again?
Monday, 5:30 is the buffet dinner, and we'll start showing the movie around 6:15. We may, if we sell out, we've got 50 seats at the back of the theater. We may put those on sale for $12. We won't know that till later today or tomorrow. But if we sell out, we might make those seats available. So those seats would be at 6:15, not including dinner because there's no tables there. But they're nice seats, and you'll see everything. So we'll know that. So stay tuned. If you get blocked out of the dinner seating, that may be available as an overflow.
Will it be posted online at some point down the road?
It will be. We're going to live stream it for our members following the event. Then we'll probably do a screening on the East Coast, on the West Coast, like in a theater, and then we'll see what we do with the movie. We haven't figured out our distribution plan for the movie. We have an interview coming up with Congressman Mast. He seems to be somebody who's way involved in the water. He does YouTube videos and talks about the water. Very committed to the issue. So a lot more people, it seems, in this administration than the previous one, but I could just have missed it in the last one. What do you think? I think there was a sea change last year. People erupted. I mean, we had town halls. People were, in Cape Coral, there was a meeting about that. People were hanging off the rafters. People are really focused on this issue. Right. It got out of control, and I think that's a really positive thing because until people focus on it, until people are informed that our waterways, which we take for granted, are at risk. They are at risk. We got to start solving these problems so we preserve our paradise. And now we're pretty much on the same page, but we can't take our foot off the throttle, even if you don't see red tide right off the coast, right out the window, what I'm seeing here, or on our river. You can't take your foot off the throttle because these are issues that will come back, and we need to deal with this now.
Before we let you, another question. Before we let you go, we know we hope that it sells out on Monday. It sounds like it's pretty close with just a couple days to go.
It will sell out.
And what can the people on the beach do? What would you like them to do to help?
Clean up the beach. There's a lot of trash on the beach all the time. There's people that are irresponsible. We were talking about that with Kim before the interview. So there's always cleanup that needs to be done. Write to your legislator. Get to know who your local elected official is, and tell them how important the water quality issue is to you. I mean, it would be if all of the citizens, even if 3% of the citizens in our area who love this area go and contacted their elected officials, or just send them a nice note saying, please support clean water. That'll make a tremendous difference.
And don't use Roundup.
Don't use Roundup.
That's a whole nother
fertilizer.
Story,
Fertilizer. There's a whole bunch of stuff that has to be done almost simultaneously. I always find it amusing. We're always playing catch up. It seemed like a good idea at the time. These dead end canals at Cape Coral seemed like a good idea at the time, but then so was asbestos and big hair. Those are ideas that are kind of come and gone. Let's move on.
Let's try to big hair.
Yeah, I mean, but we need to kind of get ourselves trained up, informed, and start to try to imagine the future instead of just doing the knee-jerk reaction of what we've always done. We have to prepare ourselves for the next phase. We're going to have warming waters. So, we got those headwinds we're staring into. We got to start fixing these problems. It means that everybody's got to be attentive. Everybody's got to be focused on this thing. This is really important. This is an existential threat to Southwest Florida.
Well, and I think it's like you said, you have to keep your foot on the pedal and your eye on the ball and all of those other sayings, because it didn't happen overnight and it's not going to get fixed overnight. So
very true.
Well, Casey, thanks for coming all the way up from Naples in the weather. It was nice of you to stop by at the last minute for coming in. And what's the website address so people know that?
CalusaWaterkeeper.org.
And you can get tickets
Facebook
right
too.
there online. You can purchase them online, use credit cards, PayPal, all that right online
Absolutely. There. Yeah, it's really easy. Yeah.
And we look forward to everybody showing up on Monday and have a great night there. Thanks a lot again. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Kim. It was a pleasure to meet you guys. Keep doing what you do.
Thank you very much,
great.
Casey. We appreciate your time and everything you guys are doing. And again, go on their website and check out it's actually a trailer there that you can watch. And the event is Monday, and they're close to selling out. A couple quick things, folks, I wanted to remind you of before we had our second guest come in. That you're listening to the Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida. FPN is promoting you while they promote Florida. If you're interested in elevating your Florida brand and becoming part of the voice of Florida, head to floridapodcastnetwork.com/partner with us for more information and a media kit. And also, we want you to check out our new website. We got a brand new nifty website where it's much easier to listen to the shows. It's obviously beachtalkradio.com. A lot easier there. And it also has a place where you can donate by PayPal. You can become one of our Patreons, which is a monthly supporter. And we had somebody, Steve, came down and said hi to us today. He's on there. And you could actually see how many people are helping out the show. We appreciate everybody that we had a very good week of support. So we want to thank everybody. We also want to let you know that next week we will be broadcasting live from a special location, not on the beach here in Florida. We will be out of town, but you're going to want to tune in. It will be at 6:00 at night, and you're not going to want to miss that. So that'll be next weekend at 6:00. There will not be a show at 9:00 next Saturday, and then we'll be back the following Saturday with our regular folks. We actually have somebody from the Kiwanis Club to talk about the kids scholarships that they recently handed out coming on in 2 weeks. So remember that next weekend. Of course, we'll promote it all week. We're good at that at 6:00. And Right now, our second guest is joining us, Todd Fisher. Todd is from I think it's called the 7-on-7 Rugby
the
League.
Beerfoot.
That's right.
Yep. We're here for the Beerfoot Beach Rugby Tournament, hosted by the Naples Hammerheads, the rugby organization in Southwest Florida.
And so, what is going on today? Tell us what we will see.
Well, we're down at the Junkanoo on the beach. We got 23 teams coming out, both men's and women's, to play some rugby. We got 2 fields going on. We got games every 20 minutes, playing the 7-on-7 format, the same format that you'd see in the Olympics in Rio, and then in the new Olympics coming up.
Nice. And tell us a little bit about rugby. Not everybody is familiar with the sport.
Yeah, it's kind of a crossover of football, soccer, track. We get a lot of guys from all those other sports. It's a lot like football, like I said, and it's mostly the rules are that the ball never stops, and that you're always passing backwards. You're always doing a lateral. You can kick the ball goes out. There's special rules. It's really easy to pick up. We get a lot of guys from all different age groups, all different backgrounds. Do a really good job.
Is it co-ed?
It is co-ed. So the Naples Hammerheads, we have a men's team, a women's team, and then we have a youth team as well. So we have guys that are under 15 playing all the way up to our old boys division, which is all the way up to 65.
So is the weather going to impact what's going on today, or do you?
Yeah, we were out there at 6 a.m. setting up this morning, and the rain came through pretty hard. We've had some lightning. The ref in charge postponed the games about a half an hour, so we're starting right about now. First kickoff should have already happened.
Cool. Now, I don't understand anything about rugby. Like the rules are, the only thing that I understand is for some reason there's a scrum where they throw the ball in and everybody either looks like they're hugging each other or pushing each other around or doing a dance or something. So
absolutely. Well, there's 2 different formats. There's the 7 versus 7 format, and then there's the 15s versus 15s format. The 15s versus 15s are where you're going to see those big scrums. The 7s versus 7s, you're playing 2 7-minute halves, and the way the game works is you start off by kicking the ball, the other team receives the ball, and then they have to try to score into the end zone, which is actually called the try zone. And while you're doing that, all you can do is pass backwards. Now, if you knock the ball forward, it's called a knock-on. That's when you would do a scrum. So that's when everybody gets down and they're fighting over the ball. So in the 7s format, it's 3 people in the scrum for each side. You're going to come down. They're going to do crouch, bind, set, come together. And then what you call the quarterback puts the ball in. Then the guys that are in the scrum, they're fighting over it to try to get it on their side. And then the game continues. So
how do you score? It's like you kick a field goal. Is that the only way you score? Or you run in the end zone and if somebody's coming toward me, you're allowed to clothesline them? I mean, you watch them on TV and it looks pretty violent.
It sure does. But the difference is that the hitting in rugby is controlled. It has to be. If you don't hit in a controlled manner, you'll get.
What does that mean, control?
So when you go to hit somebody, you're not clotheslining them. You're not leading with the shoulder. You're not coming in them to hurt them. What we teach when we're playing rugby is you want to get low. You want to wrap around the waist, such that you can pull the legs in and have a nice clean tackle. That way you're not hurting anybody. Your head's protected. The person that you're tackling is protected. You're not hitting each other with the metal and the plastic face masks. So the biggest injuries that we see are usually in the knees when you're cutting ACL tear, meniscus tear, but you'll get that with any sport. You'll get that with track. You'll get that with soccer, football. But we're not seeing the nasty, gruesome, neck sprains that you're getting in football.
And do you when people are learning the game, this is a big thing that you teach people is how to tackle correctly.
Safety is number 1. It's the most important thing in the game, because if we don't have players that are being safe, we can't have a game.
And so this is, how many years have you guys been doing this?
This is year 17.
Wow.
This is the 17th Beerfoot Beach Tournament. We've been around since 1993.
Now, you call it Beerfoot? Is there drinking going on during the game?
Well, we're right at the Junkanoo, so
that would be a yes.
So the people can go have a couple beverages and then go play some rugby. It takes the pain away.
I've been in a few organized sporting leagues, and when there's a bunch of guys around, it could get competitive. Yeah. Does it get competitive and stupid?
So it definitely gets competitive, but the refs do a really good job of managing it. You watch football and the guys are talking back to the refs of, no, that's not the right call. You watch any of the professional rugby ones, you get a ref that's 5'2" telling a guy that's 6'8" how to play the game, and you know what the 6'8" guy does? He goes, "Yes, sir."
Is that right?
That's exactly right. Otherwise, he'll throw you out of the game.
Now, I watch soccer a couple of times. I'm not a big soccer fan, but what happens in soccer is the minute somebody touches somebody else in soccer, they lay on the ground and cry like a little baby, like they have a broken ankle.
Yep.
Does that happen a lot in rugby? I imagine it's a different kind of crowd.
So the first time that I came to a rugby game, I think I was 18. I come out and we were playing Fort Lauderdale. And there was this Scottish guy. He was one of the smallest guys on the team. He got the ball. He's running down the field. He gets hit. He gets hit hard. He runs to the sideline. He says, "Here, hold my tooth." Got his tooth knocked out, went back in the game and still played the game. I mean, if that goes to show you the difference, if that doesn't, I don't know what will.
Now, I was watching a little bit of the video, and there was when they throw the ball in, they lift one person up. What is that?
So that's kind of like the overhead throw that you do in soccer, where you're going to put the ball behind and do it, but that's called a line out. So
Okay.
There's no limit of how high you can go. So the objective is to get your guy higher than the other guy, get him up faster, get him in front of him, so you can throw the ball, receive the ball, and then keep playing.
Have you seen that?
No,
It's like a cheerleading. I mean, you lift.
I don't think they want to be called cheerleaders on the rugby field at all. I don't think you should do that. I think you should go down there and do a little demo, though. That'd be nice for you to get down there. 50-something, never mind.
It's like that movie, yes, where he lifts her right up. You're right up in the air to catch the ball.
Yep. There's definitely a specific body type and a body weight that's designed for that.
Cut it out with the cheerleading crap. So, you get big crowds over there watching?
Yeah, we got so like I said, we got 23 teams. They usually
Where do they come from?
So we have 2 teams from Texas. We got as far south as Key West, as far north as Jacksonville, all over Florida. In the past, we've had people in the Caribbean, Canada. We've had a couple English people come over. And beach rugby is definitely on the rise. That's why it's harder to get those people to come from further away. There's more tournaments.
Sure.
So we're competing with those. But all the other tournaments are out in beautiful Fort Myers Beach, Southwest Florida.
Well, it looks like things are going to clear up today. What's the tournament? Double elimination? I mean, how many came?
So there's 5 pools. In the men's division, there's 3 guaranteed games, and then they're going to do a playoff. Top 8 go to the playoffs, and there's a semifinal and a final.
So they're all staying in hotel rooms and things down there too.
Yeah.
I mean, they're coming from Texas. They're not driving in, driving out.
No, we got a lot of teams that are staying down here Friday night, Saturday night. A lot of our players stay Thursday through Sunday. It really brings a lot of income to the local area.
Well,
sure.
if they need any recommendations on where not to stay, they just call me on my cell phone. There's one shithole they don't ever want to go to.
Now, they're competing there's a cash prize. Is there cash prizes?
Yeah, there's a cash prize. So the top women's team will receive $500 in cash. Nice. And the top men's team will get something similar to that. So they're fighting and they're playing to win for sure.
And now during this tournament, there are no youth playing. Is that correct?
No, but we're going to have another tournament in the spring that's designed specifically for youth rugby on the beach. Hopefully do it at the Junkanoo. It's a brand new tournament that we're rolling out. But this is mostly for men's and women's.
And this is the first year you're doing it at Junkanoo. Is that right?
We were actually there last year.
Last year. Okay.
Yep. The
So
year before we
second
had
year.
a different venue.
Well, one more. So if somebody wants to get involved, either themselves or their kids, there's local, I mean, I know you're in Naples.
Yep. So even though our name is Naples, that's where our inception was. We're actually mostly in Estero.
Okay.
We get guys that come all the way from Cape Coral, Lehigh, and South Naples to come to practice and play. We play right in the heart of Estero, practice there. And we're on Facebook, Instagram. We got a website, Naples Hammerheads. You'll find us for sure.
Now, are you on a team?
Yeah, I play with the men's team.
You're, what are you, like 6'2"?
About 6'2", about 320 pounds.
Okay. I didn't want to guess, but I'm guessing if you came running toward me, like if I had the ball, I'm giving it to my wife and I'm running the other way. You're a very big person. And
well, thank you very much.
Is it a benefit to be big, or is it a benefit to be able to run away from you?
We need both guys. So
Okay.
when you're playing on the 15s, which is 15 versus 15, there's guys that are called forwards and guys that are called backs. The backs are like the running backs. I'm not a running back. I play with the forwards. That's where the linemen go pretty much. That's where you're going to get your big guys that are getting it. So, the best way to score is just what you said, is to set the field up such that I'm getting the ball and you're the last guy that has to defend me.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what is your training for being the lineman? Is it just
So we practice 2 times a week. We practice Tuesdays and Thursdays. We go through a ton of different drills, a lot of conditioning, ball handling skills, tackling skills. We go to pass plays, and then we do some mock play.
so what? But your personal training, what are you doing? Are you like you're running 5Ks, or are you just basically
I think
throwing the
last
weights
time I
up?
ran a 5K was in the previous life.
So you just want to stay big.
Yeah, I want to stay big, and I want to stay fit and conditioned.
Like if you fall under 305, you're like, shit, I got to hit McDonald's or something like that.
Hey, it's a good problem to have, right? I mean,
Do you have other big fellows on your team too?
Yep. We got another guy. It's a
Like
little bit
what's
bigger
the
than
combined? What
I.
bigger?
Oh, yeah.
What's the combined weight of your team?
Oh man.
Really?
I'm just
we like so the way we like to do it is how much mass is in that scrum. That's where like all the mass is. We probably had about 2,500 pounds in it.
Wow.
I mean,
So I imagine if you're in the scrum with your other buddy that's bigger than you, you guys are basically just pushing people out of the way. Like you own the ball.
you would think so, but we're playing other teams that have the same size
Okay,
guys.
gotcha.
It's
Cool. Did-
great.
Any other questions, dear?
I was just so it's going to go from now until
The last game today ends right at 5:00, right at Junkanoo, and then we're going to be down here having a couple beers at the local bars and giving them some patronage, and we'll be down here having a great time.
Well, I imagine all that cardio you're doing, you don't want to keep that weight down. You want to put it right back on for the next set of games, right?
Right.
Do you have tournaments every weekend, or is there a league going on now?
So there's a league. In the fall and the spring is the 15s format, and then in the summer is the 7s format. So we're getting ready. We're just finishing the 7s. We're just getting ready for the 15s. We'll take about a month and a half off.
So you're basically playing year round.
We are.
Is this a business for you too?
It's a local nonprofit.
Okay.
I mean, I'm the president of the club, but I'm doing it with my spare time.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an engineer. I make
Okay.
medical instruments and implants.
All right. Wow. Never
yeah.
would have thought that.
But
I don't know why. I've never met a medical engineer. That's why.
But it's really good. It's we have stuff going on all year round. We're actually doing a rugby camp next month.
We're at
Right at the YMCA in Bonita.
okay.
Um,
Open to kids and
Open to kids, absolutely. That's what we're trying to build up, and like I said, men's, women's, youth. We're trying to get everybody involved and try to make it as.
is it still an
reality as
Olympic
we can.
sport?
Yeah, I think it's going to be featured in the upcoming. And there's actually the Rugby World Cup going on right now in Japan.
So they took women's softball out, I believe, and they still have rugby in. That
far
doesn't
as I
seem
know.
fair to the ladies. Well, the ladies can play rugby, right?
Don't tell a rugby lady that.
That's right. How many female teams are in the tournament?
Three this year. So we ran into some scheduling conflicts. It's actually the Sevens championships either this weekend or next weekend.
Where's that?
I believe that might be in Colorado.
Okay.
So the team in Florida is actually going there. They're called Phoenix. They've beaten everybody. They've won the South Division. They're going all the way.
So you only have 3 female teams in the tournament playing against each other, or do they play against the men at some point?
No, they're playing against the other one. They're playing against the
But
other
you do
one.
do you have any female players on the men's team, or is that not?
Every now and then we get some of them.
And that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, you could do that, dear.
Absolutely.
In there. Anything else you want anyone to know about the tournament? How they can get in touch with you? How the kids can get involved?
Like I said, Instagram, Facebook, Google Naples Hammerheads, you'll find us. We had a bunch of different programs for all different ages, all different body styles, men's, women's, you name it. We'll find a spot for you, and we'd be happy to have everyone out.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming down. We appreciate you coming down from Junkanoo and letting us talk to you about it. And good luck with the weather today. Hopefully, it'll. If it rains, will you have to wait the rain out, or you just watch the lightning?
Just the lightning.
Okay, yeah.
If it's raining, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's the lightning that's the issue.
I imagine the rain would make it even a little more fun.
It kind of is,
Yeah,
right?
cool you
Last
down
year
a
we
little
were
bit.
down here, and it was so hot. The rain is really keeping the temperature down, which is nice. Nobody's sweating too much yet.
Well, it's a good thing you picked a cool month in Fort Myers Beach to have a tournament. July
Ain't
and
that the
August.
truth?
All right, Todd Fisher, thank you so
very
much, man. Thank you.
Appreciate
Good
your
luck
time.
in the
Thank
tournament,
you.
and good luck with the league. And we'll make sure we keep everybody informed and post the information on our site. Thanks a lot. Todd is in charge of the beer feet. I keep saying bare
I
feet.
know.
The beer
and
feet,
it's the Naples Hammerheads.
Hammerhead
Mhm.
tournament. It's being held at Junkanoo, and then they're coming to Peach Time out to drink beer. So that'll be fun.
Well, they have to keep their Masks
Yes.
on.
Did he said how tall is he?
6'2".
6'2", 320 pounds. I don't care what he says. I'm running in the other direction.
Do you know I have a friend that you might remember, and he really reminded me of him years ago.
Brian.
Our friend Brian.
Yeah,
Yes.
looks exactly like
He
him.
looks just like Brian, sweet,
Yes, very nice.
kind-hearted.
Yes. So I wanted to mention a few things before we get to our movie review. By the
Okay.
way, you did a lovely job writing your first ever article for our weekly newsletter, which
Well,
you
thank you.
can subscribe to for free. Of course, it comes out every Thursday, and you can sign up for it on our website. Our new nifty website makes it a lot easier for you to listen to the shows. It's got all the buttons on top of the page, and it looks more modern than the crappy one that I built myself. So
Hey, you did a good job.
thank you so much, dear, for saying that. We had a
Yes.
lovely week of support from supporters and things like that. You can support us if you want, or you don't have to. Either way, we'll still do the best show ever, and we'll just go broke doing it. So don't worry about that. I mean, this is called for the love of the game, people. It's not for the money. It's called a side hustle, and it's just if we go broke doing it, it's fine. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll sell the house.
We'll be fine, but we're not going
We'll
to go
live under the
broke doing
bridge,
it.
whatever it takes. We'll do the show from under the bridge. Speaking of doing the show elsewhere, next weekend we will be in a secret location, and we
Mhm.
hope you tune in next weekend. It'll be 6:00 at night, not 9:00 in the morning. So don't set your alarm for Saturday morning and be all bummed out that we're not here.
Yes.
Right, because your life will be fine for a couple of hours. And this is our 1-year anniversary. And look at that.
And
there's-
I want to say, I want to take this opportunity to, thank all of the supporters and how many people have shared it and gotten the word out. And we have so many more people watching, and we're excited about that. And, and I want to come clean because it's important for me to note that you do 90%.
oh, stop. Go on.
You do.
Stop.
You
Go
do.
on.
I'm doing more and more
Yes.
lately, but
Now that you see it, now that you
do
see
a ton of
you're like
the
a fair
work.
weather fan sometimes. Now that you see the show as being somewhat successful, you're on board. What can I do? What can I do? Well, then again, you go
Okay,
back to work
so
on Monday, so
I
that'll all
just
come
give
to a
you
ski.
a compliment, and now
Well,
you just.
I'm just trying to be honest with the people out there. That's all.
That is not why. No, you exactly got it right in the second half of what
Let
you
me
said,
ask you a
which is
question.
I'm going back to work.
You came prepared with a notebook, and then you had sticky notes that you were looking at. Why can't you just stick with a notebook? And why do you have to have all this
Because
different stuff?
I admittedly have no sense of organization, so stuff is sticky noted here and there, and we know how bad my organization is because we have that mess in our spare room right now.
All right. So next week.
Try and organize your pictures, people. Do it now.
Right. That's what she's been spending the last week. There are pictures everywhere.
Everywhere.
And one of the things I used to say when we were taking Polaroids, because I learned it from my dad, was that you
Regular pictures.
always write the date on the back of a picture because time will go on and you won't remember where the picture was taken. So what did you say to me the other night?
I said, why didn't you tell me
for
to
sure.
write the date on these pictures? Now, I did some, so I'm able to piece it together. But it is true. When you're looking at a picture, you're like, well, for example, with Jillian, is she
Our daughter.
2.5, 3? I mean, it's a little hazy.
Yeah. Well, my dad used to take those big Polaroid camera pictures and they'd shoot right out, and then he'd go this, shake it like this, and then he'd write the date right on the back, right as soon as it dried. And so I still have those pictures, by
Yes,
the way.
we still have them.
Yeah.
They need to go in a new album, but yes,
So
we have them.
that room is pictures everywhere.
It's a mess.
The other thing I wanted to mention real quick was Paula did not get appointed to, if you didn't see the news, Paula did not get appointed to the county seat to fill Larry Kiker's seat. It was filled by somebody in Estero. However, she is running for the seat in 2020. So support Paula, our good friend Paula, by going to paulakiker2020.com. That's not a paid announcement, by the way. That is because we love Paula and we think she's going to be a great county representative. And of course, they appointed another white man. So there's five white men. You'd think just for diversity, for a calming opinion, they'd appoint Paula. She had a connection there. What?
Are you asking me for an
Yes, I'm
explanation?
asking you for an
Well,
opinion on 5 white men,
No, I
old
agree.
white balding men making a decision.
No, I agree that diversity is good to get every viewpoint.
I guess it just matters. I'll just skip that. Anyway, go to paulakiker2020.com. Com. You know, somebody asked a good question that we need to get an answer to because we're
Okay.
very involved in the progress of Margaritaville and the other stuff going on with the Lani Kai and all that. By the way, I won't lose my place here. Over
Oh, here we go.
130,000 views to that first video that we posted of Uncle
Who's
Bob.
counting?
I look at it every once in a while, you know, as the weeks go on and then things float down the Facebook page. I don't watch it as much, but 130,000 views. I still don't believe that could
Are
be accurate.
60,000 of those yours?
I don't know if I get credit for just breezing by it. Maybe we do. But anyway, somebody asked a question. They're concerned, and I don't know the answer to it. I don't know what's going to happen. And somebody, I'm sure, watching or can pass this along. What happens when the construction starts as far as parking? Like, there's a big lot over there that's going to, I guess, go away. The one across from the Tiki bar, whatever that's called. What's that called over there? The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
There's some parking over there. And now they were concerned. They were sitting right here today. They were concerned, okay, where are those people going to park? So they were saying, we're not going to come down during the construction. And we're like, no. We don't want that. We don't want people not to come down. So we need to get more information on where those people might park, or is that going to be okay for a while, for another year, you know, those spots. I mean, I think that spot is right in the heart of where all that construction is going to hopefully start soon, real soon. So we need to get that
have
information.
a plan. And I mean, you know, with any construction anywhere, it's going to get a little congested.
Right. I think I asked that question to John last week, or somebody, not last week, when he was on, about what happens. I mean, there's only so much space now. What happens?
Right.
But they said they have it figured out where it's not going to impact that one lane going each way, and they're going to, you know, make it happen. So we'll see what happens.
I will say I was in swimming in the south part of the county, and I came back up this way I was trying to catch the sunset, and I went through the construction that's complete, and I have not been down there in a long time. I was shocked how much wider the road is. I mean, obviously further south, but it looks really nice.
Oh yeah,
it
you're
looks
right.
really, really nice.
I think they did have to eminent domain some of that area to make it wider. I think I remember.
I mean, they
I'm
can't
just speaking
do it
at
here, but down there,
right by the Coconut RV, or even past there.
Yeah.
Wow. I remember them
It's
having to
nice.
move the RVs back a little bit to make some room. So yeah, and the bike lane is much bigger.
It looks nice.
Once it's all done, I think it'll be super nice. But there's only so much space down there too. So,
especially at this end.
right. So our sponsor, of course, is FMB Designs. I'll let you mention what's going on with Nikki and the
She
crew.
continues to give suggestions, and she's helping us out with our house, and she's finding stuff, because I'm horrible at finding stuff and making decisions. So that's exciting. And she's going to be working on some folks that we know's place, and so that's exciting. Yeah, she is rocking and rolling with her business. So we're really excited for her to continue and be successful,
Right.
and keep putting out all of those beautiful pictures of the redesigns that she does.
Yeah, and we want to help all the sponsors that we have if they ever decide to come with us. It's FMB Designs and Remodeling. Nikki and Ed do a super job. They can turn your dull-looking bathroom or living room or dining room into something very cool and beachy, or not beachy, any way you like to have it. So check them out. They're on Facebook. They have their own website, and they have a cool vehicle which has their logo on it too, which you might see around town. So our last topic of the day has to be the movie that we watched last weekend.
Okay.
Because The Great Hack, was it called, or The Big Hack, or The Hack?
The Great Hack.
And it had something to do with some company that was accused of. I'll let you take it from there, because I couldn't stay focused on it. It was so ridiculous. Look, you got 2 pages of notes on it. You really
These are
prepared
all
for this battle.
These are
Because I just thought it was so ridiculous that the people that got in trouble with Analytica, wherever the company, Cambridge Analytica.
Cambridge
here we go.
Analytica, which is a company that did data mining and took information from Facebook, not with people's knowledge. And they, at the time, claimed to have 5,000 data points on each person in America, and that there was some targeted ads that went to people who were on the fence in the election.
Right. And my argument was, as I was yelling at the TV, when people get caught, when people get caught doing things and they get in trouble for it, then all of a sudden they're the victim. And that's the way that woman in that, whatever her name was, made it seem like that the world was now ganging up on her because she was doing her job. And the other point I wanted to make was there's that people in elections do that on TV. They do that on the radio. They do that in mailers. They do that on Facebook. And for anyone to think that you have 5,000 or 10,000 names in an election, and that's how Trump won. And it's always going to come back to, I don't want to say I'm a Trump supporter or not, but in this case, they were using Trump as an example because Hillary's campaign didn't want to hire them. They originally worked for Obama, and then Hillary's campaign didn't want to hire them. So they went to the Trump campaign and they said, okay, we can figure out, first of all, how do you figure out an undecided person? You can't, because people lie. They don't want anyone to know that they're a Trump supporter or they're a Hillary supporter or they're on the fence.
That's what they did with the information that they from Facebook, which is why he got in some trouble. Mark Zuckerberg.
He didn't get in any trouble. He's such a sissy Mary when he went in front of Congress, but he didn't get in any trouble.
Well, we had to go and say, because it wasn't right to give the information.
And that's that's the only thing I agreed with you on this film was that's right. You shouldn't be giving out information like that to without people knowing. They don't expect that you're going to give out their information, but I don't think it had any impact on the election because and it's
so
all
you
like
think advertising in no way, if it's one-sided advertising, is able to change a person's mind?
Here's what I think.
No, I'm asking you that question.
I think they're all liars, and people know that most politicians on the national level running for office are lying, and that they're all negative.
The ads were delivered in a way that people didn't know that it was specifically coming from this campaign or that campaign.
I don't think it...
and it was targeted to play on the fear that people had of different groups. And it was... see, now look what you happened. Now look what happened.
No, what I think is that... the police are here. That people...
We are not singing.
People aren't given enough credit for knowing how to vote. When they go in the voting booth, they're not dummies. They know what to do. They know who they're going to vote for because they see the candidates at a convention or they see the candidates. All the ads are negative now. All the ads are negative.
Oversimplify this situation. There are a lot of people who are on the fence.
No, I think that people want to be on the fence or they want to claim they're on the fence because they want the attention. People who are independents are always going to be in the news because they're going to sway the vote. People know who they're going to vote for.
So
I don't think there's you can't be on the fence between Trump and Hillary. You're not on the fence. There's no way there's a middle ground. There's no middle ground. I mean, you can't, there's no way. You're either never going to vote for Hillary or you're a Hillary lover, right? You think anybody's on the fence with Trump this coming? No. Is there?
Dear, the point of the movie, though, was about how information gets used and about how the technology is outpacing sort of what people are ready for. And yes, people do need to be responsible and they do need to be educated, but that only goes so far. No. I mean, when you've got people spending all their time figuring out how to manipulate stuff and insert it here and do it there, I mean, it's something to take a look at.
Have you ever bought anything from a Facebook ad?
Well, I'm not a shopper.
I'm
not a buyer. Have you?
I did. I bought a Jimmy Buffett sweatshirt that had nothing to do with the election. Here's the other thing. I want ads that I'm interested in coming at me. Okay. I don't want an ad for, feminine products. I don't want an ad for blow dryers or things like that. Somehow they figured out that I might buy a Jimmy Buffett sweatshirt, and I was cool with that. Or the races.
Cool with it but when people are being targeted and they don't know they're being targeted, that's a problem.
On. Now what you're doing is calling people stupid. People don't know they're being targeted.
How people that received those specific ads did not know that how they were getting those ads served up. They didn't even
Well, let's just put it this way: that it seems like Trump did a better job at social media than Hillary did. Maybe that had something to do with it.
Well, certainly the show brought up that his person who was running the digital part of it put, don't quote me on the numbers, but it was like, I know,
I don't wanna get
5.9 million ads on Facebook, and Hillary's did 66,000 or something. So yeah, there was a big disparity in the strategy that those two campaigns took.
I think when we mention the name Trump, it really drives your dad who's watching the show. It makes him want to, I don't know what he wants, to drive off the road if he's listening in his car, but
No,
he thinks that Trump's just a big liar. And well, there is some truth to that, I believe, but hey, your candidate lost to him. So, I mean, you had to have a pretty bad candidate to lose to a reality TV star. So for whatever reason, I mean, I'm not saying a supporter or anything like that, but I think that if they would have come up, and I said this to you, if they would have come up with a halfway decent candidate, he would have never won.
Well,
but even if you want, you could have got people that were, saw him and they were, there's Republican Trump haters. They would have went with somebody else. They might have gone with her, but they definitely would have went with. And now look at this, 30 of them fighting over. They're calling Obama's legacy crap, and it's so. Anyway,
I know,
we're getting off the subject.
Yeah, because the
of
issue
the ads.
is your privacy and privacy rules, and everybody being knowledgeable about what happens when you put too much information out on these. It is a social. Yes, it's a social platform, but just like we're socializing here, but I'm not walking around with a t-shirt that's got my birth date and my social security number. Not people would give that out, but all this information that's so readily available and then can be used for God knows what.
Here's the simple answer to that. If you don't want that to happen to you, get off Facebook. Or don't go on.
How about those platforms act responsibly?
This is true. I don't argue with that. I don't argue with the fact that they gave out names and they shouldn't have. But I don't believe it has. I think people are smart when they get into the booth and they make their decision based on what they saw and the ads that they process.
I
and
think you're
a
little bit naive in that regard.
No, I don't think you can say that. I mean, the ads are negative coming from every direction. You can't believe anything. It goes all the way back to Willie Horton.
Ads that were those targeted ads for those people were not. It wasn't blatant.
It was subliminal.
Political.
Here we go. Now it was subliminal.
No, but it played off the fears and the divisiveness that we see now in the country, and it's
been like this for. It goes back to the Chad thing. It's been like this for before Facebook was around, when it was 50-50 then, and they were fighting in West Palm Beach over the Chad. So it's nothing new. It's just that group wanted to come across like they were the victims and she was the victim. And it was irritating
her
me.
Issue, she's very complicated in that regard. She started at 21 and then was scooped up by that Cambridge Analytica and put in a very high position. She's not even, she's barely 30. No, she's barely 30. But
I think if you go back in history and read some of when this country started, you get all these guys together, they hate each other even back then. So it's been a battle all along. And it's not going to change. We're a country
Mr.
split.
Oversimplistic.
We're a country split 50-50 down the middle. If somebody on the Democratic side could have somebody, if they had even a speaker like John Kennedy, it would be a landslide. But you watch them on TV and everything is is so negative. There's nothing to be proud of on that side.
Well, on that point, we can agree.
There's nothing. They're not proud of anything. They're not. They don't come across like everybody in the country could be great. And I'm not saying that
so
Trump
is that
should
a
win.
reflection of them or us?
They come up with one person that seems positive, and I think they would do great if they did. Anyway, we talked way too much about politics. We never do that. So, we do it at home all the time, and your dad and I used to do it, but we had to stop that.
I put a kibosh on that.
All right, everybody. We'll see you. Check out our website. Support us if you can. We love going back and seeing all those donations of $2 or $5 in the email. It's much appreciated. And we will see you next week live on location, not on Fort Myers Beach, at 6 o'clock at night. It's going to be a blast. But we can't tell you where it's going to be because
It's a big
It's
secret.
a big secret. So we'll see you in 1 week. Thanks for everything.
And please take a look at the Calusa Waterkeepers.
And
Get
don't
down
watch-
to that.
And don't watch the movie because it's not worth. You'll never get those 2 hours of your life back.
It's good to watch that movie, and it's good to watch documentaries and come to those conclusions on your own. Get informed and make an informed decision.
Kim Ryan's opinions are not necessarily those opinions of the entire show. They're only her
This is
opinions.
true.
All right, everybody. Bye-bye. Dance it out.